All right, so join us in celebrating the first annual International Day of Women Judges to promote the full and equal participation of women at all levels of the judiciary, to celebrate the progress that has been made and raise awareness about challenges ahead. And despite women's increased engagement in public life, they remain significantly underrepresented in decision-making positions. Now, in fact, a relatively small number of women have been or are part of the judiciary, particularly at senior judiciary leadership level. So by marking the day, we will reaffirm our commitment to develop and implement appropriate and effective national strategies and plans for the advancement of women in judiciary justice system and institutions at the leadership, managerial and other levels. So happy International Judges Day. I'm super excited for women. You know, it's the very first holiday, very first. So
do you know any judge?
This is the start of many to come.
A
female judge. I think Isi's mom served, yes, as the Chief Justice in Edo State. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Isi's mom. Sorry,
okay.
I'm calling her Isi Mani.
I was wondering.
Her name is Isi as well. Her name is Isi.
Oh, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't want to she's a lawyer.
Yeah, Mani's mom served as the judge in Edo State.
Edo State.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But there are few female judges, though.
Right?
Yes. A lot of female lawyers, but a few female judges. Yes.
Right.
To my
How about you? Do you know any?
Yeah, I knew a few growing up. A few of my mom's friends served, but I don't know what the journey is, the trajectory is to becoming a judge, and you kind of have to understand the journey to understand if there are challenges that are unique to women becoming judges. But as with everything else, there could always be more female judges.
Absolutely.
As long as they're competent.
So let me start with you, Isi. What did you find for us in the news?
Okay, I traveled the streets of Twitter, and what caught my attention is the lady called Chidinma Ojukwu. If you can recall, the lady called Chidinma Ojukwu is the alleged killer of the Super TV CEO, Michael Ataga, and she has been crowned Miss Cell 2022. And at a beauty pageant at Kirikiri Correctional Facility to mark the 2022 International Women's Day. Now, I'm not against her, partaking in this, but let me start with the concept that previously we had the name of Nigerian prisons was Nigerian Prisons of Nigeria, basically. But now it is the correctional facility, which is actually living up to its name as a correctional facility. The question is it a correctional facility? They should have done something else for Women's International Day, basically, International Women's Day, basically. It could have been something on education. It would have been something on women empowerment, not, I think, on basically on a beauty pageant per se.
What's your thought on this, Uti?
I don't know about beauty pageants. They build confidence in women. They make you feel good about yourself. Who doesn't want to look pretty? So don't have a problem with it. What's their capacity? What's the funding in the prison service? What else could they have done? What did the women want to participate in? So there are many factors to it. I don't know that. I don't have a problem with it.
I wish money were here, though.
It's funny how
because of her interaction with the prisons, correct?
Talking about what was it now? Why was she in that particular prison? Why wasn't she? She's not convicted yet. And a lot of times I find that people speak without having much
information.
And if you've ever visited our prisons, you find that many people in there are not convicted. They're waiting for trial.
Awaiting trial.
I was trying to scan through, the Constitution is never the easiest document to go through, but I saw somewhere where it says, you have 2 months or 3 months when your case should be tried unless it's a capital offense or something like that. And I was laughing.
But it's still longer than that.
I was laughing at it because I knew someone once who ran an NGO, and what they used to do was go to prisons and pay bail for people that. So there was a lady about 4 years ago. She was pregnant. All that they needed to release her was 3,000 naira.
Wow.
And she couldn't afford it.
So they paid the 3,000 and they released her. So if we truly knew what was going on in the prisons. Whether it was a Kodi correctional facility, yeah, it's not a pretty picture.
Totally.
No, it's interesting because I said I was wishing Mani was here. She goes to the prisons every Thursdays. Okay. So she was there today because I was chatting her on something else. When she told me she was about to enter the prison, she would call me back. And she would tell you for free that most people, and that's what she does, as her CSR, part of her pro bono. She does legal services for them. She does, all the bailing you're talking about. So there are so many people that are in these facilities that have no business being there, just because of the failed justice system that we have, delayed trials and all of that. Or some people have not even faced trials for 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years. How do we even start with this, You know what?
When it comes to federal government of Nigeria and some of the policies that they have in terms of the organizations or parastatals that they have, you have to deal with it with, you have to pussyfoot around it basically because you do not have a clear picture of what is actually going on in there.
What's your story?
All right. Everyone is familiar with MC Oluomo, who is the Lagos chairman of the NURT, or Lagos chapter chairman of the NURTW, which is the National Union of Road Transport Workers. So my headline reads, breaking, Nigeria's Road Transport Workers Union, NURTW suspends MC Oluomo. So he apparently is being suspended for insubordination and misconduct against the apex body, so essentially trying to create a fiefdom here in Lagos against the national body. And he's led protests, essentially. The story alleges that he led protests claiming that the national body was interfering with their activities within the state. So he's been suspended with immediate effect, and he's supposed to hand over all union materials and assets to his deputy so that there isn't a lag in leadership, basically. Of course, we know that when it comes to NURTW, all the boys you see running around in traffic collecting money, it's a huge machinery. So the most important thing for me when I saw this story is, look, we've seen how these NURTW clashes can get really violent. Motor parks are like mini hoods and kingdoms, and they have their own ecosystem and hierarchy and all of that. So something like this is bound to have wide-reaching consequences within the state. So if you are in the vicinity of motor parks and public transport, please just keep an eye out. Anything can flare up at any point in time.
Yeah.
Many factions within the NURTW, and of course in the collection of the money, you see them practically almost putting themselves in front of moving vehicles,
just to collect 50
money.
It's really no joke. So if things are going to kick off, we just need to be alert and watchful so that we're not caught in the middle of it.
Wow.
So what is this Nigerian Union? How do they put the full name? Nigerian Road Transport Union Workers, or whatever.
RTN.
No, the NURT, Nigerian Union of Road Transport Workers. Yeah. What is their primary function?
Yeah, the union, the body.
That's what I'm saying. What's their primary function apart from revenue collection?
What's a union supposed to do? A union is supposed to give the collective workers in that particular union a voice. They fight for their rights. They make sure that they're not, what's the word now? They're not abused. They're not taken advantage of. That's what unions typically do.
Because what I'm saying this, right? Because yesterday we talked about transport systems and all of that. So apart from just revenue generation, what benefits are they giving to us that use their service? No, I know it's not for us. I'm saying that apart from collecting revenue, right? They claim that these revenues are supposed to, so that they can have a pool of the drivers. They know who the drivers are. It's like what's it called? Data.
They know
yes, a database. No, but so all these buses that we enter, we still hear cases of one chance and they stab you and all of that. Shouldn't the NURTW be in charge of making sure that those miscreants do not operate on the road?
That's a rhetorical question, as far as I'm concerned.
When you even say rhetorical question,
yeah,
how many members of NURTW are not area boys, are not
Agberos?
That's the point. So that's what I'm saying. So they as an organization, they don't exist for you and I. They exist for their members. The reason why they're collecting the money is that's the system they created to collect dues, because there's no other way to collect it that is as effective than collecting, because these guys are making money.
That's what I'm saying. It shouldn't be all about dues, right? It's road transport. So even they should also be held accountable for safety of commuters on that road, apart from just collecting money. That's my point. Because if you do not have anything that you want to do for me, then you go and park in one corner.
But the union cannot be held accountable. They're not the government. They're not the state government. They're not the local government. They don't exist to protect the road users. They exist for their members.
To collect money.
Not to collect money. The collection of money this is how we figured out how we're going to collect our dues. It is a flawed system that we have here. But they are not a governing body. What it is if the government takes a decision tomorrow that is going to affect road transport workers, then
they will step out.
Because they are the advocates for their members. So they can't be held responsible. Holding them responsible or managing that process is the responsibility of the government.
Okay, well, I have hear you. My story is actually an interesting one I found today, this morning, when I was going through the Black Panther director Ryan Coogler reacts to being mistaken for a bank robber. The director had walked into the bank. I think it's this American bank. What's the name of the bank though? Bank of America. He went into the bank and he actually wanted to withdraw about $12,000, and he wrote at the back of the check. He said, "Please, I'd like to withdraw $12,000 from my checking account, and please," he wrote that he wanted it to be discreet, right? The counting of the cash, yes, right? Yeah, he said, okay, so let me just read. He says, "Please, I would like to withdraw $12,000 cash from my checking account. Please do the money count somewhere else. I would like to be discreet." And he wore a face. This happened actually in January. Okay. I think they only filed the police report yesterday. So that he wore a face mask. He wore glasses, so as the bank teller
black.
Just here say discreet, almost take red alert. So she went to the bank manager, alerted the bank manager. Both of them together called the police. And again, it's so interesting. Two guys were waiting for him outside in the car.
Wow.
Do you understand? And he was inside the bank, so the police just came gingerly, handcuffed him, and escorted him outside. But he has come out to say that the bank has apologized, that they've settled it amicably, that it's fine. So the bank still came out to say that the spokesperson of the bank has said that they deeply regret the incident that occurred, and they've apologized to him, and everything is settled. But it was just
on a lighter note.
It was just funny.
I mean, yeah, it's all fun and games till somebody gets shot.
Yeah.
What in his demeanor, what in what he wrote, he didn't bring out a weapon. He wasn't threatening. He didn't. I'm never the first person to cry wolf and cry racism, but you have to assume in a story like this that there's some profiling.
Of course, there's
exactly,
there wasn't
which is why I said he's black.
The only thing there was discreet. It wasn't threatening. He didn't. So,
Uti, should we not be grateful that he was calm about the arrest?
That's what I'm saying. That it's all fun and games until somebody gets shot. If this was a story where a weapon had been pulled and there was a trigger-happy security guard, we won't be saying they settled it amicably.
Exactly.
So it's sad. And when I hear things like this, it just brings us back to that whole thing of sometimes be black and be in Africa.
I'm telling you.
It's not like Africa is any safer, but some of these things you just think, man, and I need to deal with different issues. But it just goes to show you how deep. I mean, we're talking about biases this week. It just shows how deep these biases are. People just get profiled on silly things.
I'm saying, discreetly. It blesses she don't understand English.
Very
maybe it was failure of English that she Issy, you need to train her. On that note, we'll take a break. When we come back from the break, we'll want to discuss public transportation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.